Ulterion managed to escape the Colosseum in Act 10, and then he was captured and brought back. He was set to fight the Tyrannosaurus, but managed to find a teleportation circle before the fight could start, but that's a story for another day. Ulterion wandered the mountainside, looking for someone, something, anything that would tell him where he was. Ulterion found a fast way down the mountain. Whoa! As he tripped over a rock and tumbled down the mountain. Ulterion found his way to the bottom of the mountain. Ulterion dusted himself off as he got up. He heard voices.
We should have him with noodles.
No, we should have him with grey rice.
Ulterion realized something.
Grey rice?
Ulterion pulled out the list and searched through it.
Grey rice, grey rice, grey rice.
Ulterion was shocked when he found the item he was looking for.
Grey rice. From Pong.
Ulterion smiled.
I'm in Pong.
Ulterion's smile faded as the realization came to him.
I'm in Pong.
Ulterion had been to Pong before. It was another place where he had business dealings with the denizens of this land, known as the Onaga. The Onaga was said to be the cousins of ogres. Although they weren't as big, they were still pretty imposing. There were 12 variations based on various different creatures, but you can do your own research on that. Ulterion slowly and silently made his way towards the voices he heard.
Are you baka? Noodles will add a honey texture to the meat.
You are the one who is baka. The texture is too thick and will hide the flavor. The grey rice will highlight it.
Ulterion peeked over a cliff to see 2 Onaga thugs sitting by a campfire. One Onaga thug was a rat Onaga with 2 sharp buck teeth, some whiskers, and a long but tiny nose. His frame was a bit skinny but tall.
Noodles would be best. They're like worms without a fight.
The other Onaga was a pig Onaga with a round belly and pig-like nose on his face.
My palate is too good for worms, especially fake worms.
Ulterion looked around the Onaga campfire and found their would-be meal tied to some large bamboo poles. This meal was a small blue man in what looked like bright yellow samurai armor. Ulterion had never seen one of those persons before, but he had heard of the creature. It was a fish niche. As Ulterion thought of a plan to help the poor creature and get the grey rice, the pig Onaga thug sniffed the air. The rat Onaga thug stared at his companion curiously.
What do you...
The pig Onaga thug put a finger to his lips.
We have company.
Ulterion grasped in horror as the 2 Onaga thugs looked up at him with vicious smiles.
Hello.
I wonder if he tastes good with noodles.
Ulterion got up and ran. The Onaga thugs jumped up and ran in pursuit.
Where are you going?
Join us for dinner.
Ulterion ran, desperately trying to figure out how to get away, until he saw a cave.
Finally, a break.
Ulterion ran into the cave. The 2 Onaga ran after their prey, but stopped when they lost him.
Where did he go?
Ulterion watched the Onaga thugs from his hidey hole.
Please don't find me. Please don't find me.
The rat Onaga thug nodded to the pig Onaga thug.
Sniff him out.
The pig Onaga thug put his nose to the air and sniffed. Ulterion cursed himself as the pig Onaga thug sniffed the air.
Damn it, I forgot I could do that.
The pig Onaga thug continued to sniff the air, but stopped with a gasp.
We need to go.
The rat Onaga thug looked at his companion with confusion.
What?
The pig Onaga thug grabbed his companion by the arm and hurried off.
We need to go. Now.
Ulterion watched the two Onaga thugs run off in panic.
I wonder what spooked them.
Ulterion suddenly felt hot breath on his back. Ulterion slowly turned around as he heard a low growl and found himself staring face to face with a bear.
Oh. Hi.
Ulterion runs, the bear running after him. Ulterion ran around a corner and jumped into a different cave. The bear ran past Ulterion's hiding, thinking it was on the heels of its quarry. Ulterion breathed a sigh of relief. Ulterion sat in his hidey hole, thinking to himself.
I need to get to that grey rice, but the pig Onaga can smell me. What to do? What to do?
Suddenly, a horrible stench came to Ulterion's nostrils.
What? Oh my God! What is that?
Ulterion followed the smell deep into the cave with fingers clamping on his nose shut. Ulterion found the source of the smell.
There you are.
Ulterion had found some rotting mushrooms. An idea came to Ulterion, and he smiled.
You're going to be a big help.
Ulterion gathered the rotting vegetation.
Ew.
The two Onaga thugs were back attending to their campfire and meal, who was still tied to a bamboo pole.
It's a shame we couldn't capture the human.
Big Onaga thug nodded.
Indeed, you would have been delicious. Still have a scent in my nostrils.
The Pig Onaga thug sniffed the air out of nostalgia, and he could almost remember the scent. Until
What the?
he felt something disgusting with a rank smell fall on his face. Ulterion sneaked around the two Onaga thugs as he dealt with their situation.
Stop moving so I can get it off your face.
Ulterion slowly made his way towards the Onaga camp as he saw the grey rice, though the Onaga thugs were too distracted to notice this.
Stop blowing at my face, Baka.
I'm trying to help, Baka.
Ulterion was close enough to take the grey rice until he heard the prisoner groan. Ulterion had a choice to make. The grey rice was right in front of him, but he felt bad for the prisoner. It wasn't his responsibility, so shouldn't he just leave? The Arama wasn't sure how long he was tied to the bamboo pole. He was accepting his fate as an Onaga meal. Until he heard and felt someone working on the ropes.
Thank you, stranger.
Ulterion grumbled as he cut at the rope with a knife.
You better appreciate this.
The Ratanaga thug managed to help clear the Piganama thug's face.
There we go.
The Piganama thug spat out any remnants of the rotting mushroom that got in its mouth.
I will kill that human.
The Piganama thug looked towards where the prisoner was. All that was left was bamboo poles with sawed ropes. The Piganama thug was furious.
I will kill that human.
Ulterion helped Leorama get away from the Onaga campsite. The Onaga thugs pursued their quarry.
Do you have a quarry?
The big Onaga thug sniffed the air, but his nose was still full of stuff.
Damn it! I only smell that stink.
The Ratanaga thug sneered.
We've lost him. Let's get back to camp.
The two Onaga thugs walked back, dejected.
At least we have the grey rice.
You mean noodles?
Don't start.
Ulterion and Leorama hid in a cave after Ulterion gave a thorough check for bears.
All right, you should be fine to stay here and rest. Once you do, go back to wherever you came from. I have to go back.
Leorama looked at his savior in confusion.
Go back. Are you crazy? They'll eat you.
I have to take the risk. I need their grey rice.
But
Get some rest.
Ulterion ran off. Night fell over the land. And Ulterion made his way back to the Onaga camp. He watched from a distance as their fire still burned. The two Onaga thugs slept.
This is my chance.
Ulterion slowly made his way to the Onaga camp. He made his way to the basket full of grey rice. He stepped closer and closer and closer. He was just about to grab the rice when a hand grabbed his wrist.
Huh?
Ulterion found himself looking into the face of the pig Onaga thug who sneered at him.
Took me forever to get that gunk out of my nose.
Ulterion felt a hand grab his other wrist. He looked up to see that rat Onaga with a firm grip on him. Ulterion looked back to the pig Onaga thug who had a evil smile on his face.
I wonder what's the best way to prepare you.
Ulterion shook his head defiantly.
Please, don't. I didn't mean to. I just wanted the grey rice.
The two Onaga thugs merely laughed.
You'll get your wish. Because we will serve you with it.
Ulterion sneered as the Onaga thugs continued to laugh.
Wonderful.
Ulterion found himself tied to a spit with an apple in his mouth. The big Onaga thug turned the spit over a flame while laughing. Ulterion's mind raced as he tried to figure out an escape plan. The flames kept interrupting his thoughts. As Ulterion thought that his goose was cooked, quite literally in this moment, he and his captors heard a noise. The pig Onaga thug looked towards the distance in surprise. The rat Onaga thug looked towards the distance in surprise.
Huh?
Ulterion looked towards the distance in surprise. A band of Fishnish rode over the horizon, with their hands full of swords and spears. The Onaga thug looked at each other in fear.
Run!
The two Onaga thugs ran off. The Fishnish rode their horses at a trot with the saved Ulterion. Ulterion rode with his new friend, Leorama.
Thank you for saving me.
you saved me, and I had to return the favor.
A realization came to Ulterion.
Oh my god. Forgot the grey rice.
It's all right, my friend.
You don't understand. I need that rice.
No, my friend. You don't understand.
Ulterion grabbed the side of his head in panic.
What do I do? What do I do?
Leorama grabbed Ulterion by the shoulders.
My friend, I am a grey rice farmer.
Ulterion calmed down.
Oh. Why didn't you say something earlier?
Leorama rolled his eyes. Ulterion was separated from his Fishnish friends during an Onaga thug attack. An Onaga thug general had taken a liking to Ulterion and chased him throughout Pong. But that's a story for another day. Ulterion laid on the ground, looking up at the sun. as he decided his next move.
What am I going to do?
As if on cue, Ulterion heard some noise.
Huh?
Ulterion climbed the hill and peered over it. A big smile came across his face. Below him was a carnival of performers and merchants in their wares. Ulterion was so happy. These were his people. This was his element. This was his way to scam coin from suckers. Ulterion walked around the carnival, taking in all the sights. Ulterion had been to several carnivals. There was nothing like these carnivals. There were clowns performing their antics, and they weren't throwing pies or making balloon animals, performing amazing acrobatic martial arts maneuvers, while martial arts techniques perform more intense feats like breaking wood, stone blocks, and some steel bars. Ulterion was so impressed by the sights.
Wow.
Ulterion saw a merchant leave his stand and smiled to himself.
Perfect.
The carnival goers were enjoying the festivities when they heard
Step right up, step right up.
a few carnival goers came to the Ulterion's booth. Ulterion horror, as Ulterion called them to take part in wares.
Step right up, see wares from all over the world.
Ulterion spent an hour or two selling exotic wares that he had pickpocketed from other customers. Zhang admired the pearl ring he purchased and knew that his soon-to-be fiancée would love this as her engagement ring. He was imagining her reaction until Zhang turned to find an old Vietnamese woman charging for Watson.
That's my ring.
Zhang was taken back by the accusation.
I think you're mistaken. I bought this ring.
Zhang noticed that the old Vietnamese woman was wearing a sash that looked like his sash.
Wait a minute.
Zhang looked down to find what was not finding his sash. He looked back to the old woman in anger.
That's my sash.
The old woman looked down at her new sash.
What?
Several of Ulterion's customers discovered that their exotic wares belonged to other people. The customers returned to Ulterion's booth to find a different merchant there. The merchant stared at all the angry people staring at him in confusion. Ulterion walked through the carnival, counting his coins.
98, 99, 100.
Ulterion's counting was interrupted by the sound of an angry mob
Huh?
coming after you.
There he is. Get him. Oh no.
Ulterion ran. The angry mob at his heels. Chen stood on the outside of the fighting pit, essentially the fence built around a dirt circle with a tent on top of it. Chen shouted to the crowd.
I need some brave warriors to take on the Hammett. And sadly, I don't think there are brave warriors here.
I accept the challenge.
Chen spoke. He had found his first sucker. Warrior flexed his impressive muscles to the crowd and cheered. Chen made a gesture that made the crowd quiet again. Chen faked a look of concern towards the warrior.
I was wondering
The warrior rolled his eyes.
Ha! I can beat an old outcast. Ha 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 ha!
Chen shook his head as he chuckled to himself.
I bet you could.
As Chen promoted the fight, the hermit he referred to waited in the darkness. He was an old outcast. That meant a warrior was someone like. However, Pangzi was not human. He was a crabman who no one could pronounce the name of. Since his people tended to keep to themselves, they were referred to as the hermit. They kept to themselves out of their nature, but also two other reasons. One, they were delicious to many other creatures. Two, they were among the greatest natural martial arts in the world. People would come from all around to learn their martial secrets, or, in Pangzi's case, were exploited for them. Pangzi sat in his cage inside a tent practically pitch blackness. If it weren't for the light coming up from the bottom of the tent, though it wasn't much comfort to the crabman. His guards, a brute named Yemen, hired by Chen to watch the merchandise, came in with a ring of keys. Yemen unlocked the door to the cage, opened it with a mocking sneer on his face.
Your challenges and audience are waiting.
Pangzi sneered back at his care. Chen stood in front of the gate as challengers gave him gold.
Thank you. Good rock. Thank you. Good rock. Thank you. Good rock.
Ulterion continued to run. With his unsatisfied customers on his trail. The challengers, 5 of them, stood in a dark pit waiting for their opponents in the dark tent. The vocal warrior from before shouted.
Come on out, hermit.
Pangzi stood at the opening of the tent as he heard the crowd cheering. And the warrior calling him in.
Face me.
Yemen smiled at Pangzi, which looked like a sneer.
Your public awaits.
Pangzi glared at Yemen and held his chain in his hand. Ulterion continued to run. With the unsatisfied customers gaining on him. Challengers waited by the opening of the tent. They were surprised to see a crabman scuttling out of the tent. They stared in shock and broke into laughter. The warrior pointed at the crabman as he addressed his fellow challengers.
This is our challenge? Is the challenge to choke him down with rice? I should have brought butter.
Pangzi's claw swiped through the air. With lightning quickness, no one saw the crabman's claw move, but they saw the result. The other challengers looked at the warrior in horror. The warrior looked at his companions curiously.
What are you?
The warrior felt something was off. He looked back towards his hand. Something was indeed off. The warrior looked at his finger, at least where his finger used to be. Now there was just a bloody nub at the stump of a knuckle that spurted blood. The warrior screamed in pain and horror. Ulterion was still running. With the angry mob still in pursuit. He was running out of energy and received justice for hiding place. One of the challengers hit the ground, unconscious. The challengers looked down at their unconscious friend, then turned their gazes to the crabman.
Let us get this over with.
The challenger gave a battle cry as he charged towards the crabman. The challenger did have some skill in martial arts as he delivered a barrage of punches and kicks from the crabman. The crabman was far more skilled and blocked every blow with ease. Pang Zi delivered a punch to his opponent's stomach. With a twist of his elbow, he slammed his claw into the challenger's face, audibly breaking the cartilage of the bone. The challenger screamed in pain as he fell to the ground. Pang Zi cleared the two remaining challengers. The last two challengers looked at each other. They nodded and charged at the crabman together. The two challengers figured out that their combined barrage of punches and kicks would be enough to tear over the crabman. However, with the crabman's blinding speed, their blows were blocked with ease. Pang Zi jumped in the air and simultaneously kicked to both of the challengers' stomachs. As he came down, Pang Zi delivered an elbow strike to the back of one challenger's head, while he brought his knee into the other challenger's face. Both challengers hit the ground, unconscious. Ulterion was still running. With the angry mob behind him. They were closing in on him. Ulterion saw something that might be a reprieve
There we go.
and doubled his pace. Chen stood by the entrance of the fight ring. He had seen the crabman defeat so many opponents that he was just bored to it. He heard the last challenger fall and was about to close up shop when
Wait!
Chen saw a strange man running towards him.
Let me in.
Chen shook his head in disbelief.
Not to pay it.
The strange running man threw a few coins at Chen.
Here.
As he ran into the fighting ring, Chen merely shrugged. Human dragged Pang Zi back into the tent by his chain. As the cram man walked with him, dejected. Before Yeoman and Pang Zi could get to the back of the tent, they heard Chen shout.
We have a new challenger.
Yeoman and Pang Zi looked back in surprise.
Uh-huh.
Ulterion looked around and circled confused.
Challenger?
Then his eyes rested on the crabman.
What have I gotten into?
Yeoman and Pang Zi looked at each other. Yeoman shrugged and shrugged. Yeoman shrugged. Pang Zi rolled his eye stalks and made his way towards the new challenger. Ulterion watched as the crabman charged towards him. He wasn't sure what the crabman wanted. Pang Zi threw a punch at Ulterion, but Ulterion just barely dodged.
Whoa!
Ulterion stared at the crabman in shock.
What are you doing?
Pang Zi glared at his opponent and started delivering a barrage of punches and kicks.
Hey, stop! What are you doing? Don't! What is this?
Ulterion managed to dodge the ball, but Pang Zi couldn't believe that no punch would land. Ulterion was pretty surprised at his own reflexes. He thought it might be due to the life of the wanting to kill him. He had the lightning reflexes granted to the coward. However, Ulterion knew that if he could keep it up for long, he had to think of something. That's when Pang Zi found his opportunity. He caught Ulterion's throat in his claw and slammed him against the wall. Pang Zi's eye stalks glared into Ulterion's eyes as he held his opponent against the wall. Ulterion didn't struggle much due to the acceleration of the Crabman's claw dug into his throat.
You gave me quite the run, but this is over. Any last words?
Ulterion desperately thought of a solution. He looked down at the collar on Crabman's neck. He smiled.
Yes, I can help you.
Sure, like I haven't heard that before.
No, really. Here.
Ulterion suddenly grabbed Crabman's throat. Pang Zi was surprised and enraged.
You have made a grave error.
Before Pang Zi could apply pressure to his attractor's throat, he felt pressure on his own and he slackened. Pang Zi looked down to see the end of the chain attached to his neck, now on the ground. He felt his own throat just to satisfy himself. There was indeed no chain on his neck. He looked at his attacker in shock. Ulterion shrugged and smiled.
I'm a really good lockpick.
Pang Zi turned his eyes towards the look Jan and Yim looked at him in horror.
Oh no. Oh no.
Pang Zi looked back at the man with freedom.
Thank you.
Pang Zi let go of Ulterion's throat and fell on his backside on the ground. Pang Zi looked down on Ulterion.
How can I repay you?
Ulterion rubbed his throat.
I think you just did.
Pang Zi nodded to Ulterion and went off to get his revenge. Ulterion called out to him.
Wait,
Pang Zi stopped and looked back at Ulterion.
can you help me get some Pinganese silk?
He thought about it for a moment, smiled, and nodded to Ulterion.
That's feasible.
Pang Zi turned back around and scuttled after his former captor.